My formal education is with the U.S. Navy in nuclear power. I graduated from A school, C school, and a prototype schooling in the mid to late 90s, and trained on submarines and was submariners, and then I went to the John C. Stennis and served out my term there on the aircraft carrier. I was involved in working with a company doing custom steel mill products for electric arc furnace chemistry, and they asked me if I could find a new product for them that could support the steel industry and steel making. They were on a 20-year run on their current product train, so they were looking for something new to stay in business. So I took up that task, and more or less randomly somebody approached me because of my background and asked if this water technology was possible. And this had to do with water plasma, which was a confusing technology, and there was a lot of mystery and question going on with it. So I said, I'll give it a look. And it was being used for an application non-related to what I was doing professionally. So as I was testing it, I started seeing applicable value to it in the steel industry, and the two things met, and then we went into development of a water plasma technology as a heat and metallurgy source, and that opened up a can of worms into metal structure and different metal structures and different properties, and it was truly a unique condition, and it possessed visual and tangible fundamental physical principle that is ruled out of most of our science to do work, and that's an implosion mechanic rather than an explosion. And using that property, it can be applied to regular water. So in the development of that machinery and that equipment during testing, there was problems in the early stages. I started studying water more intensely, and even though water was a big part of a nuclear reactor and how that's managed. So I knew water had some interesting principles, and I don't think this is confidential, but water is the regulating factor in a nuclear reactor that's called a thermal nuclear reactor. So water is responsible for regulating the power of that reactor and solely has that capability. It has nothing to do with the rods in the reactor. So I found this to be amazing, and in some of the training and discussions of nuclear mechanics and atomics, we always had the question, most of the students and trainees, that couldn't this be done on a proton level or at the other end of the atomic spectrum, which that was beyond the need to know would be the usual answer. So that question remained in everybody's mind as they went on with their careers. I always remembered this, so I knew water had the potential to do things beyond what it was giving, credit for. So as I was working with this technology, that topic refired, and I dove into it headlong, and amazing results. And the problems with the machinery, I recognized the study of vibration and counterflows, as they're called, in cancellation principles. And now you'll see this in Bose technology and many people on the airplane, the canceling of vibrations. So, and there is something that comes out energetically that is in a quantum field, let's just say, a subtle energy field, and orgone, there's many, Wilhelm Reich in the orgone, there's many different versions of prana, chi, probably 100 different names for this energy. So it's not a new topic at all, it's actually an ancient topic. Restriking in modern times, this begs the study of it as applicable to practical application things such as steel mill, drinking water, farming, all those things. Backtrack to my machine that I was obligated to build for the company to work in the steel industry, the water was getting tired within the machine as we were working it. And the properties were changing, and this was all recorded and tracked vibrationally with equipment as we were developing. And I knew the idea of counterflow or cancellation mechanics within the water could be an amazing aid to the machine and simply solve the problem. So I began to research and look, and I couldn't find anything as a solution for this machine. So I remember being on the internet till 4 in the morning looking for some type of mechanical counterflow machine to condition water. I had no idea there was any structured water industry or any devices out there that would do this, so it was a wild goose chase. And I also had a booking to a Tesla convention coming a couple months in the future. I had that pamphlet sitting on my desk. I was exhausted from not being able to find anything in the internet. I remember kind of scratching my head and going, I just need to drop this, and I'm going to look at what's going on at the Tesla convention. And I opened the book up to the middle, and there's Clayton Nolte in an ad for structured water. And it was a very simple, basic ad. I could tell they were a small company, but the phrasing was, "Got old, tired water, needs rejuvenated," and it's precisely what was happening within the machine. To the point, if we didn't let the machine rest for 24 hours, is about what it took, the machine wouldn't run anymore. So the water but if you rested the water for 24 hours, you could fire the machine back up. It would perform great for its duration before it hit saturation and collapsed again. So I picked up the phone the next morning and called Clayton. I was in the Midwest at the time, so he picked up the phone, I think, at 5:30 in the morning. And he said, I'm the owner of the company. And I asked him a few questions, and he said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm working on this project, and this was my background. And he became interested in what I was working on and the information I exchanged with him, and vice versa. So he sent me a unit and a couple of units to play with. And I remember looking into the portable unit at first and just going, oh, it's so simple on the basic sense, to accomplish it in that function. Very simple, user-friendly, and clearly, as soon as I looked at the device, it was going to head down the road of what I needed to do with the water to help the situation along with that machine. Fast forward, time went on and information exchanged, and the network began to open up with this type of technology. It's trending fairly well now, and people are aware, so I've just followed along with it, continued to support Natural Action, and Clayton has continued to support other ventures that are different forms of water technology, but all from the same source.